at townhall.com.
We talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too with their 3-week quick start kit for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Stocks surrendered early gains and turned negative on Wall Street after the White House said President Trump would impose promised tariffs on some key U.S. trading partners. The S&P 500 fell 0.5% in afternoon trading. The Nasdaq Composite dropped 0.4%. Each had posted solid gains in morning trading. The Dow was down 0.7%. Trump will put in place 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico and 10% tariffs on goods from China effective Saturday. The White House provided no word on whether there would be any exemptions on the measures. The Dow was down 337 points to close at 44,544. The Nasdaq lost 54 points to 19,627. The S&P 500 dropped 30 to 6040. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. The showers will clear out tonight. We will cool down to 47 as our low. Tomorrow, quite nice, mostly sunshine-filled skies. The high is 68. For Sunday, a blend of sunshine and clouds. The high reaches up to 64. We are mild and dry next week. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hi, this is Sal from Grow Your Garden with Sal. Every Saturday at 8 a.m. on The Point, we'll give you tips on gardening and planting while showcasing local farms. Join us here Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. right here on The Point.
The Point. The Point. This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk on a Friday night. We've made it to another Friday. Great to have you with us. What a beautiful day in South Carolina that it was. I had to turn on the air conditioning today in the car. Went to Darlington because today we had some racing on the track. Well, not really racing. We had some testing by Christian X, number 16 Chevrolet for the Colleague Racing Team, and that's the team that A.J. Allmendinger drove full-time in 2024, and this will be his first entry into the NASCAR Xfinity Series in 2025, so he was turning some laps out there. It was just, first of all, the place looks great. Josh Harris and his people, they have done a fantastic job picking up where Kerry Tharp left off. Place is in great shape. And getting ready for the race in early April. Much more on that to come in the weeks ahead. But it was just fun to go out and hear a race car go around the track and smell the fuel and smell the tires and the oil and everything that goes along with a race car. So it's fun at Darlington. And a little bit later on tonight, Jeff Owens will join us because we go racing tomorrow night. We have the preseason race It's going to be in Winston-Salem at that old stadium there in Winston-Salem. And we'll talk with Jeff about that coming up in just a little bit. And, of course, we'll be rolling into Daytona here not too long down the road. So a couple of weeks, they'll be headed to Daytona for Speed Week, and things will really start to heat up on the NASCAR scene. And, of course, we've got basketball coming up tomorrow. Clemson playing at NC State at noon, and South Carolina playing Texas A&M at 8:30. A lot of other games in between that we'll touch on. And so the Tigers, who've had the midweek off, so they've been off since last Saturday, they go on the road with a chance to stay near the top of the ACC, maybe even catch Duke if Duke loses to North Carolina in the first of their annual showdown games tomorrow afternoon. The Tigers off to a tremendous start in ACC play. And as we were talking about last night with Mike Morgan, I mean, what a job Brad Brownell has done in putting good season on top of good season on top of good season, which is what you want from a solid program. And that's what he's got going on right now with Clemson. Even though they have the great record, the Tigers don't have the best net ranking based on the record that they've got right now. They were 30th in the net, and that's representative, of course, of the struggles of the ACC in general. But they are 17-4, 9-1 in the ACC. Their losses, Boise State, Memphis, South Carolina, and Louisville. They're not being helped by South Carolina with the season they're having, and they're not being helped by Miami. The Louisville loss on the road, that won't be a major problem. And the loss to Boise State, not sure what Boise State has done since then, since Clemson lost to them, and the loss to Memphis, that's a fairly respectable loss, even though it came at home. Memphis is having a pretty good year. It was in overtime. So Clemson is 17-4, 9-1 in the ACC. NC State, this is what we talk about, riding that roller coaster. They were Final Four last year, and they're just going to be out this year. They're 9-11 and 2-7 in ACC play, a struggling year for NC State. But on the road in Raleigh, anything can happen. But I would think if the Tigers play their game, they've had all this time to help Chase Hunter get over the sickness that he was dealing with, and Ian Shefflin get more healed, if he could be more healed from the injury that he's been dealing with. Was it shoulder and also a calf thing I think he's been dealing with. So Tigers play their basketball, play the way they've been playing. They should pick up another ACC road win. Meantime, South Carolina at home tomorrow night at 8:30 against Texas A&M, which is ranked 13th and 15th. Gamecocks are 10-11, 0-8 in the SEC, and A&M is 16-5 and 5-3. And so the Gamecocks have not won a game this season since beating Presbyterian by 10 points back on December 30th. So it's been over a month, obviously. They had a winless January. They actually haven't won an SEC game of any type since they won a game in the SEC tournament last year in the opening round. Then they got beat by Auburn in that second round. So right now the Gamecocks, I wouldn't say they're just playing for pride. I mean, they're almost at the halfway point of SEC play. This will mark the halfway point. This will be the 9th game. So do you think they can run off a winning streak? I would think that they've got to be hoping there's 4 or 5 wins in there for them somewhere. But maybe not in the immediate future, because Texas A&M, they're really good. They're coming off a win over Oklahoma. They really hit the boards well. They had 20 offensive boards against Oklahoma the other night. Their top scorers averaging 15 points per game. So, but they've had the edge on Buzz Williams during his coaching career. He's only 1-5 against South Carolina in his coaching career. Does that mean anything for tomorrow? You know, Buzz Williams is an excellent coach. Of course, he was at Virginia Tech before he went to Texas A&M. So this Texas A&M game will be tough, and then the Gamecocks will be off midweek next week. Then a Saturday game at Kentucky. Yeah, you know what that's all about. Then a home game against Ole Miss, which currently is ranked, though they got beat during the week. Then they go to Florida. So I don't know. Wins will be hard to come by in that 3-game set. Then they go on the road again to LSU, which is not having a very good year. 9 o'clock game, LSU down there. Maybe a possible win. Maybe a possible win over Texas back in Columbia on February 22nd. A trip out to Missouri. Missouri's having a bounce-back year. Gamecocks have some late games coming up on their schedule. 8:30 tomorrow night. Their game at Florida on the 15th, 8:30. Their game at LSU on the 18th, 9 o'clock. Their game at home against Texas, 8:30. And their game at Missouri, 9 o'clock. So, I mean, I guess it's the late night hour for the Gamecocks in February. And then they finish out at home with Arkansas and Georgia, a couple of possible wins there, and then a game at Tennessee. So as you look at the rest of the way, applying common sense and logic, you would say LSU possible, Texas possible, Arkansas, Georgia. That would give them 4 wins. Maybe you could sneak a 5th one in there. I would say 5 is probably the most you could expect at this point, which would make them 5-13. That might, all the teams playing the SEC tournament. It's the ACC tournament that will be leaving out 3 teams. So, but that might move them up a little bit in the standings and also in the bracket for the SEC tournament. But I mean, when you're looking at 0-8 and you're thinking they're going to win 5 of their final 10 games, go 50-50 there based on what we've seen. Hard to fathom that, but I'm just saying I think that's a possibility based on what's ahead for this team the rest of the season. All right, so that's the basketball. We'll go over the rest of the games, ACC, SEC, and state games coming up. A lot of other things to talk about. First of all, our phone number, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Welcome you in on the phone lines. Welcome you in on the text line, which is 803-900-4847. Welcome you in as well if you're watching us on YouTube at Sports Talk Media Network or on Facebook at Sports Talk Media Network. And, of course, our feed on X, which is at our new X location, our new X account, SC Sports Live, at SC Sports Live, at what? SC what? SC
Sports Now.
SC Sports Now. Sorry. At SC Sports Now.
It's our 5th one since January 1st, so,
They all run together. At SC Sports Now. SC Sports Now. If you haven't signed up to follow us there or give us a follow, give us a follow. You'll be able to see all the little notes and everything that we tweet out and retweet and things like that. So make sure you do that. Okay. There are several news stories to talk about and a lot of recruiting that we're going to get to as well early on. We've got a long recruiting report for you tonight, so we'll get to that early on. Also tonight, George Bryan will join us at 7:35. Now, it might be a little iffy with George because it's a big night for the Bryan family. His sons, Wesley and George IV, they are being inducted into the Dutch Fork High School Athletic Hall of Fame. And, of course, he's there for that at the basketball game. So it'll be kind of hit and miss for him depending on the timing around that ceremony. So we'll have as much George as we can get. And also we'll have a couple of guests for that segment as well. And, as I mentioned, NASCAR cranking back up this weekend. We'll have Jeff Owens making his season debut with us tonight at 7:05 tonight. Looking forward to having Jeff back with us throughout the NASCAR season with his knowledge, his contacts, his insight on what's going on out there. Always love to have him in the fast lane with us here. So that's what we've got coming up for you tonight on the program. Now, let me hit a few of the top stories, and then we'll get to those phone calls. Again, the number, 888-898-2525. I want to touch on some of these top stories that we've got going on. How about South Carolina's Odell Fortune winning defensive MVP honors last night in the East-West Shrine Bowl game. Had a pick six. Tonka Hemingway, the Gamecocks, also played very well. Citadel announced their football schedule for 2025, as we know from having Coach on with us a couple of weeks ago and had been previously reported. They're going to open up at home against that powerhouse, North Dakota State. Then they go to Sanford, which is always pretty tough. Then to Gardner-Webb, then home to Mercer, then at Chattanooga. By the way, their season starts August 30th. Their bye week, October 4th. They're back at home on the 11th against Valdosta State. That's a quality D2 program. I think they are still D2, aren't they? I think so. Then home to Western Carolina. Then a trip to Furman, home to VMI. They head down to Oxford, Mississippi, November 8th to play Ole Miss. And, you know, I hate those games. I hate those games. I hate those games. We need to do away with those games. I think we will do away with these games. They're mismatches. I know they're check games, money games, but come on. We got to, you know, we got to do something. If the FCS programs, they need some funding some way, we got to come up with a way to share some of the loot with them to help them out. If that's, but these lopsided games have got to end. Then they play Wofford and they play at home, and then they go to East Tennessee State. So I mean, you're the Citadel, and maybe you're in the hunt for something in the Southern Conference. You got two big conference games at the end of the season, but you got to go to Ole Miss, and you know Lane Kiffin. You saw what they did to Furman last year. Lane Kiffin will not have any sympathy on you. If he can bury you, he will bury you. He doesn't care if you're Alabama or the Little Sisters of the Poor. So don't like those games. Never have liked those games, those money games, and hopefully we'll get out of that at some point. So Indiana, this report from Zach Osterman, who covers Indiana for the Indianapolis Star. Remember, we had the story the other day about Ohio State having a huge deficit in their athletic department. Indiana, the university, loaned their athletic department $26 million to cover expenses related to the transition from head coach Tom Allen to new head coach Kurt Cignetti last fiscal year. As it says here, a firm sign of the administration's support for both program and department. The loan will be repaid with interest. Now, hang on a second. I mean, isn't the athletic department part of the university? Why would they charge a department that they oversee with interest in the money that they loaned them? Plus, the fact that they had to loan them should throw up a red flag. But here we go, another case of an athletic department needing money from somewhere. Speaking of, how about this? The Big Ten, and this is written by a guy who works for Sportico, Daniel Libet. He reported the Big Ten is soliciting preliminary bids from private equity firms after retaining investment bank Evercore. Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti previously expressed skepticism about private equity upside. But now they're pursuing it. They won't be the last. They won't be the last. Former Clemson defensive coordinator Wes Goodwin headed to Oklahoma. According to the Oklahoma Insider, he will be a defensive analyst for Brent Venables out at Oklahoma, and nobody is surprised by that. That was kind of what was expected when he was fired at Clemson. Rusty Sharpia will not return as the head football coach at Brooklyn Casey. Lou Bajak of the state newspaper reporting that the winningest coach in the program's history did a great job there, and this was interesting in that he learned of the decision on Thursday by school officials. And the longtime coach and athletic director retired 2 years ago, but stayed on as a, quote, rehire for the 23 and 24 seasons. His job was posted publicly both years, but by the district, and the board approved his return this year. Sharpia also applied to return for next year. He was one of the 6 candidates who got first interviews for the position, but he did not make the cut for the second round, a source told Lou. So we'll see if Coach Sharpia finds a job like somewhere else, or if he's decided to just hang it up. But he's did a great job at BC. Can't believe he's reached that point where he's around that retirement time, if that's what he decides to do. You know, I've always liked Roy Williams. Always have liked Roy Williams. Always thought he was a really good guy. And here's more reason to feel that way. Roy Williams is helping erase $10 million in debt for thousands of North Carolina families still struggling after Hurricane Helene. This was written by Nick Carboni of WCNC. The Asheville native is working with Verizon to help. Families have had their medical, financial, and other debts all cleared. So kudos to Roy Williams, a truly, genuinely super nice person and a great basketball coach, By the way, if you're headed to USC tomorrow night or Sunday for the basketball games, USC put out a notice this afternoon that a water pipe issue has forced the closure of parts of Green Street, which will impact the usual game day traffic patterns around the CLA. Green Street will be closed from Park to Lincoln, and Lincoln Street will be closed from Divine to Green. So fans should choose an alternate route to their parking location prior to arriving to the game. Okay, we're going to hit the break, and we'll come back and take some phone calls if you'd like to join us. And that phone number, 888-898-2525. That is a South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. And our text line number is 803-900-4847. 803-900-4847. We'll be right back after this break. 803-900-4847.
Major Billy Downer here from the Department of Natural Resources, and DNR is excited to announce the implementation of Go Outdoors SC, a new online licensing and boat titling system that you can access right from your phone. Through this new system, customers can purchase their hunting and fishing licenses, renew their boats, apply for lottery hunt opportunities, and complete electronic harvest reporting requirements. For more information, visit Go Outdoors SC at your local app store.
Happy New Year. 2025 is here, and that means it's time to get your finances on track. With Founders Federal Credit Union, you can manage debt like a pro this year. Simplify and possibly reduce your payments by consolidating your high-interest debt with a personal loan from Founders. With flexible payment terms and loan amounts, we have a personal loan to fit your needs. Stop by one of our locations or visit foundersfcu.com. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
One lottery ticket makes a big difference for our state students. And when I say big, I mean bigger than jackpot big. Since 2002, South Carolina students have benefited from more than $6 billion in lottery-funded scholarships and grants, including the Life, Hope, and Palmetto Fellow Scholarships. With every lottery play, you're supporting our students, and that adds up in a big way. That's why education is our middle name. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
George Bryant here with Tsunami Bar Sports, and wow, Tsunami Robbie, there is now an amazing technology that you can use when you train receiving large game without having to endure pain. Please explain.
George, that is the magic combination. I have 3 simple words to define that entire concept. Stimulation, not annihilation. Regardless of your training goals, there is a level of stimulation that is optimal for your desired gains. Tsunami Bar's flexible bar technology meets these demands because the user determines the level of stimulation with the amount of speed and force they impart into the bar or training device.
Hey, this is Phil Kornblut. The Tsunami Bar is a terrific training device, whether you're working on your fitness or your golf game. It's convenient, it's easy to use, and you won't feel beat up afterwards. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com and get 5% off any order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait. Order today. No! All right, we are back on Sports Talk. Headed to the bottom of the hour. Let's go to Bruce in Missouri. First call up tonight. And Bruce, welcome in. How are you?
Well, it's quite an honor to remember Gamecock Larry being the first one up.
First up, first in. Yes, sir.
Yep, Gamecock Larry.
Gamecock
Anyway,
Larry. We always think of Gamecock Larry.
Yep. I was complaining about the girls' game the other day and how they were hacking each other up. I mean, it was a butchery. Well, here I come up and watch the guys playing ball, and my God, they were like hitting each other. They didn't call a foul on anybody. What's going on with the basketball teams right now? I mean, it's like a free-for-all.
You mean across the country? Just basketball in general? Well, I think there's no consistency really in officiating. Some games are loosely called. Some games are tightly called.
This is no calls.
Well, then it's being loosely called. They're letting them play in some cases. In some cases, if you breathe on a guy, you're getting a foul. So, I mean, I don't know if it's any different than any other year in college basketball. It all looks pretty much the same to me. I don't see much of a difference. How can you say there's a difference? There's no. I mean, it's always been. I mean, the officiating has always been complained about since the beginning of time. Since the beginning of time, people have complained about officiating.
I have never seen basketball done this way before in my life.
Well, who have you been watching?
I'm 72 years old.
Who you been watching?
Just what's on the TV.
I mean, you've been watching a variety of teams. You've been watching different leagues.
Yes. Yes. And it's just the same thing. Everybody's beating the hell out of each other. It's ridiculous. They're not calling any fouls at all. I mean, they go up for a layup, and they land on the foot. They land on the back after they get up in the air.
Well, I can't sit here. I can't. And thank you for the call. I can't sit here and say there's anything different to the style of officiating this year than any other year. I mean, some games are called tight, and the whistle is active, and some games they try to let them play a little bit, and they get away with some things. So I can't tell the difference this year compared to any others. Maybe you can. We appreciate it. Be right back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. The showers will clear out tonight. We will cool down to 47 as our low. Tomorrow, quite nice, mostly sunshine-filled skies. The high is 68. For Sunday, a blend of sunshine and clouds. The high reaches up to 64. We are mild and dry next week. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
If you step onto H&J Cattle Company's farm, you'll find third-generation farmers upholding the legacy. They embrace sustainability and take immense pride in their craft, raising cattle purely on nature's offerings, without growth hormones, antibiotics, or animal byproducts. The result? Unmatched quality beef that's not just good, it's the best in South Carolina. Experience the distinct flavor of our finest registered Hereford and Wagyu beef. Visit us online at hdjcattle.co or on Instagram and Facebook at H&J Cattle CO.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting investigators have announced that the black box from the Army Black Hawk helicopter that collided with a commercial jetliner has been recovered. They're reviewing the flight data recorder along with two from the plane as they probe the cause of the devastating crash that killed 67 people. President Trump says he'll put in place 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico and 10% tariffs on goods from China effective Saturday. That raises the specter of a swift price increase for U.S. consumers, although Trump suggests he'll try to blunt the impact on oil imports. Wall Street didn't like what it heard. The Dow was down by 337 points. The Nasdaq dropped 54. The S&P lower by 30. This is SRN News.
I was thinking about the things that matter to me when it comes to calling the plumber. First, most of us call the plumber out of a need, often a crisis. So you want reliability. Then, we're in a vulnerable place already, so you want someone you can trust, someone who will be fair in their pricing and handle things professionally. These are some of the reasons I feel comfortable recommending Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. See, they've been out to my home. They've been out to my brother's home, too. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning did such a great job. And maybe this might not matter as much to some people, but they're locally owned. A lot of these plumbing companies you've heard of used to be local, and now they're owned by big national or even international conglomerates. Working with a locally owned company matters. It keeps your pricing down, and the money stays local here in the community. Josh and his team at Franklin makes customer service their top priority. I trust them. You can too, especially during these vulnerable times. Online, it's franklinplumbing.sc.com or call them 799-2222. That's 799-2222.
Imagine a cooler home this summer and a warmer one during winter without the sky-high power costs. Redbird Windows and Doors offers you the solution with our state-of-the-art energy-efficient windows and doors. Locally operated, we promise a hassle-free experience with our expert team handling everything from consultation to installation and doing so flawlessly. Upgrade your home's comfort and cut down those energy bills. Visit redbirdwindows.com or call us 727-0561 today. Redbird Windows and Doors. Local experience matters.
Happy New Year. 2025 is here, and that means it's time to get your finances back on track. With Founders Federal Credit Union, you can manage your debt like a pro this year. Consolidate any high-interest debt with a personal loan from Founders. Debt consolidation offers several advantages like simplified payments, lower interest rates, fixed interest rates, and extended payment terms. It may even improve your credit score or even help you avoid default. So simplify and possibly reduce your payments by consolidating your debt. At Founders, we have personal loans to fit your needs, whether you need a little or you need a lot. Plus, our loan officers will work with you on your payment terms and help you find a solution that fits your budget. So stop by one of our locations or visit foundersfcu.com/personal loans to apply for a personal loan today. Relax. You're with Founders. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
Is it time to sit down with All Southern Construction to talk about that big spring project you've been dreaming about? Time for a new and beautiful deck to enjoy the Carolina evenings on? Time for a screen-in porch or a new addition to the home? All Southern Construction is the answer. Why us? Well, we're local, insured. We clean up after our projects. We're professional, we're ethical, and well, we're really good at what we do. Online, it's allsouthernconstruction.com or call us 206-4816, 206-4816.
At 6, don't miss the vibe. South Carolina's pride, we're live. Sports Talk's the place to be. From the court to the field, we're breaking news free. Join the team, follow X for more. We're taking over, that's for sure. Corinth's insight, Bergen's wit, Cohen's energy. They're the perfect fit. 2 hours of sports talk bliss. Don't miss a minute of this. Sports Talk, the place to be. From the court to the field, we're breaking news free.
All right, welcome back. Sports Talk here on a Friday night. Great to have you along for the ride. 888-898-2525 is the number. If you have something you want to get off your chests, comment or question or observation. You agree with Bruce? Anybody agree? Nobody ever agrees with Bruce. But is he talking sensible about college basketball and officiating? I just don't see it as any different. College basketball officiating, NBA officiating, but college basketball officiating is hard, so hard. And we sit there and pick apart the officials. Yeah, there's some obvious things that you might see and you go, that's just a terrible call. We all know it and they know it, but it's just such a difficult sport to – look, the difference between a charge and a block, it's minuscule. And how you make that call and think you're going to get it right all the time – it's just not going to happen, but they have to make that call. So, difficult sport to officiate. I don't know that the officials as a whole across the country have done any better or worse this year than any other year, So, but that's going to heat up. I'm sure that topic will heat up as we head towards the NCAA tournament. This story just coming out a few minutes ago. It's a big story about Tennessee and the NCAA, and the NCAA has reached an agreement. The NCAA has reached an agreement, the NIL-driven lawsuit with Tennessee. Over a year ago, a judge in Tennessee granted preliminary injunction against the NCAA in a lawsuit centering around NIL filed by attorneys general of Tennessee and Virginia. The decision sent ripples across college sports, allowing booster-funded NIL collectives to negotiate deals with high school and transfer portal recruits before commitments. This afternoon, Tennessee and the NCAA reached a settlement agreement. A status report was due to the court on Friday, initiating the decision to settle. Per the filing, the injunction will continue, and it will not interfere with the completion of the House versus NCAA settlement. The antitrust lawsuit was filed exactly a year ago by the attorneys general of Tennessee and Virginia. Settlement will be finalized along with a request for a permanent injunction by March 17th, according to the filing, and it must be approved by U.S. District Judge Clifton Corker in Tennessee to go into effect. So this lawsuit originated after the NCAA began investigating Tennessee on its NIL practices in multiple sports. According to the New York Times, the NCAA's search at Tennessee centered around the use of a private plane to fly Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava to Knoxville while he was a recruit, with funds for the plane raised by boosters. Tennessee Chancellor Donde Plowman and Athletics Director Danny White have been vocal supporters, along with multiple politicians, of taking legal action against the NCAA. In the wake of the injunction, NCAA President Charlie Baker halted NIL investigations last year. The NCAA has lost its grip on controlling inducements or pay-for-play. Now the attention will shift to the NIL clearinghouse that is included in House versus NCAA. According to that agreement, all third-party deals of more than $600 from boosters or NIL collectives will have to be approved by a clearinghouse. With Friday's settlement, the NCAA suffered another severe blow to its enforcement power. The decision leaves college sports governing body nearly powerless over NIL payments until revenue sharing is scheduled to begin July 1. So there you go. Another loss. Another loss for the NCAA in its ongoing battle to try to maintain some sense of control over college sports, but it just ain't happening. And then we see here that LSU gymnast Livy Dunn has filed objection to the House versus NCAA settlement ahead of the deadline. She had to do that by today's Friday deadline. And she noted major deficiencies with the structure of the settlement, which is set to usher in the revenue-sharing era in college athletics. And I'm sure what she's worried about, of course, is that the women's sports are going to be left behind when it comes to revenue sharing. Oh, we're going to hear so much stuff over the next several months. It's not going to be a fun off season. It's just not going to be. We're in the mud. We're deep in the mud with all of this, and trying to get it sorted out and trying to come up with a workable that will make everybody happy is just not going to happen. I mean, let's face it. I hate to say it for the women's athletes out there. I mean, you better make your money now while you can through the collectives process if you're a great individual female player, because the bulk of the money is going to go to football, period, at almost every school, because they believe that's the only way to play winning football now, is to be able to buy the best players. And that's going to take the bulk of the money. So we're talking about $20 million starting July 1st that schools, that'll be the salary cap to start out with. That's what they can work from. Now, they can still do, from what I understand, they can still do deals through collectives and boosters, but anything over $600 has to go through that clearinghouse. So I don't know what that's going to mean from a clearinghouse standpoint. NCAA and clearinghouse brings back bad memories. You know when we had a clearinghouse once before with the NCAA? Prop 48. Everybody had to send their grades to the clearinghouse. That became the catchphrase. You had to graduate. You had to complete your work. How many kids in that era got held up, and what was the reason? Their paperwork hadn't gotten through the clearinghouse. The clearinghouse hadn't had a chance to review their test score. Oh, a flag went up in the clearinghouse. You'd have kids who couldn't join their football team until sometime in September before they got cleared, missing a game or two before they got cleared or denied by the clearinghouse. And then there was appeal if they got denied. I don't like the word clearinghouse when it comes to college sports because that just brings back bad memories of having to deal with that back in the day. But that's where we are. That's where we're headed. And that was the big news coming there from the standpoint of college sports today. All right, let's see if there's anything else I wanted to mention to you before we go to the break. Oh, here's an interesting story. Looking forward to seeing this. This Eli Ellis kid who's coming to South Carolina. A story in Sportico says that Eli Ellis, the little guard who's coming to South Carolina from Overtime Elite, he became the all-time leading scorer there. They call him the most influential teen basketball star. How about that? The most influential teen basketball star. Yet, he didn't make the McDonald's All-America team. He's not a five-star guy, but he has more than 1 million followers on TikTok. And it says here he's cultivated an online community who follow him for hoops and hype-building tips. See, that's what I worry about. Hype. Hype doesn't win in the SEC. Hype doesn't help you when you're, 5'11"? No, they list him at 6'1". I don't know. I've seen him on video. Maybe he is 6'1". 6'1". He is an elite scorer. There's no question about it. And he is a guy. This is what I'm worried about from a South Carolina standpoint, and Lamont Paris and that staff had better be ready for this. Now, I could be totally wrong, but when you got a guy who's a TikTok star and an internet sensation and makes all this money and has all this following, he's got to show out. He has got to have the ball in his hands. He's got the offense, got to have the offense built around him, and he's got to show out. He's got more than 1.2 million people following him. That's crazy. That is crazy. And so how are you going to deal with that? How are you going to handle that? I mean, maybe you do give him the ball. Maybe you say, kid, go out there and get me 30 if you can. So we'll see how that works out, but I'm just looking at this story. He averaged 33 points per game alongside his brother, Isaac, on his team last year that was coached by his dad. Well, that helps. He committed to South Carolina in November 2023. As a 19-year-old senior, he's averaging 32 points per game in the Overtime Elite competition this season. In December, he set the Overtime Elite scoring record again by dropping 55 points in a victory. His gear has become some of the league's best-selling merchandise in the meantime. Yet he's still not ranked among ESPN's top 100. For what it's worth. I don't give a crap about that. But that's part of this story. The story is, why does this guy not have a higher rating? Well, maybe he's just not all that. Or maybe he is. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that works out when he gets to Columbia. Is he going to be a team-first guy? Or is he going to be a me-first guy? And, get me the ball, set me the screen, get out of my way. If he's knocking down shots, and if he averages 30 points a game, then they'll be all about him being a me-first guy. But if he can't handle that, then it's going to be another creation of the internet. I mean, I think of Seventh Woods. Nice person, not a very good basketball player at the high level. but he was an internet sensation that everybody had to have coming out of high school, and it just didn't work. Okay, we'll hit the break. We'll come back with a lengthy recruiting report for you tonight on Sports Talk in just a moment.
When I grow up, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a dentist. I want to be an engineer.
Making dreams come true starts with making a plan. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, makes it easy to invest in a child's future education so they can chase any dream. You can start with any amount. Contributions are tax deductible and earnings grow tax-free. Discover the smart, easy way to save for college today at futurescholar.com.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
George Bryant for Tsunami Bar Sports, our inventor, David Abernathy, has always said Tsunami Bar technology allows us to take the training to the grass. Now I know through my sport of golf that natural agility can be converted to athletic ability. And why is this, Tsunami Robbie?
Transferring the training to the grass. This may be the most undervalued characteristic of the Tsunami flexible bar technology. The Tsunami bar action loads and unloads at the concentric and eccentric transition points. This is what we call reversal forces, and the Tsunami bar is the only bar and training device that I know of that can train these reversal forces adequately at speed.
Hey, this is Phil Kornbluth. The Tsunami Bar is a terrific training device, whether you're working on your fitness or your golf game. It's convenient, it's easy to use, and you won't feel beat up afterwards. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com and get 5% off any order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait, order today. All right, we're back on Sports Talk. Coming up after the top of the hour, Jeff Owens will be with us. Our first visit with Jeff as we dive into the NASCAR season at Bowman Gray. That's where Wake Forest used to play football. Football field in the middle with a racetrack going around it. And this is NASCAR going back to its roots, North Wilkesboro, Bowman Gray, Rockingham. Love it. More NASCAR in the Carolinas, the better. And so we'll talk with Jeff about that coming up here shortly. But right now it's time to check out the recruiting report tonight. Our recruiting report is brought to you by Seawells, where today was a day to celebrate. Did you make it over there for an RBF? Well, if you didn't make it for an RBF, you have no one to blame but yourself or whoever kept you from going. But make plans to get there next week.
Did you go?
I was at Darlington.
So, but you still blame yourself. I mean, it would have been worth it to
No,
go
I
to
blame
Seawells.
Darlington for scheduling the press conference.
Well, maybe they should have had
during the lunch hour.
RBF at Darlington.
That would have been sweet.
Yeah.
That would have been sweet. But nonetheless, you can get there next week, Tuesday through Friday, for the best buffet in the buffet business. And for the best business, all you got to do is call Seawells at 803-771-7385 or check them out online at SeawellsCatering SportsTalkSC.com. Lots of juicy recruiting news to get to tonight. We begin with safety Tamarian Watkins out of Northwestern, 6'4", 201. He's a prize recruit here in the 26th class. Seen his offer list expand recently. He's picked up Georgia, Vanderbilt, Alabama, West Virginia, Kentucky, Georgia Tech, Florida, Florida State, North Carolina, Coastal Carolina, East Carolina. He is going to Georgia Tech Saturday. He's already been to Georgia and South Carolina this month as well. Back at USC last Saturday, and he said that he liked everything there. He loves the coaches, the entire staff, loved all those guys, he said. And they showed that they wanted him and talked about their emphasis on work and how detailed and work-heavy the program is. So he plans to check out spring practices at USC, Texas A&M, and Georgia, and Alabama, and some others. And he has set officials to USC May 30th and Georgia June 6th. And he will schedule others as he continues to sort through his various opportunities. He says, as of right now, nothing's really changed in his recruitment. He's still open to everybody. This week, Watkins has had school visits with Texas A&M and Georgia. Last week, he met with coaches from USC, Clemson, Georgia Tech, and Florida. South Carolina quarterback target Jared Curtis of Nashville added an official visit to Auburn May 16th. He has Oregon, Georgia, and USC down for officials in June. And South Carolina coach Shane Beamer and quarterback coach and offensive coordinator Mike Shula had an in-home visit with Curtis in Nashville yesterday. Of course, he's one of the top two quarterbacks the Gamecocks are pursuing. Auburn head coach Hugh Freeze also made an in-home visit on Thursday. Curtis has also had in-home visits this week with Florida State, Ohio State, and North Carolina. And last week, Georgia and Alabama met with him. So he goes to Oregon June 6th, Georgia the 13th, and USC on June 20th. He is a former Georgia commitment. South Carolina coach Shane Beamer and assistants visited offensive tackle Zion Giles of Carvers Bay on Thursday. USC coaches were in to see receiver Ryan Mosley on Thursday in Carrollton, Georgia. USC secondary coach Torian Gray this week visited cornerback Jaden Brodnax. Jaden Brodnax, 6'3", 185, Delray Beach, Florida. Shane Beamer, Lonnie Teasley, Marquell Blackwell today visited running back Carson Baker, Fairburn, Georgia. Beamer and Teasley also visited offensive tackle Bear McWhorter of Cartersville, Georgia today. Clemson assistant coach, offensive line coach Matt Luke visited offensive tackle Cannon Pickett, 6'6", 310 of Tampa on Thursday. Luke also visited with offensive tackle Fletcher Turk, 6'6", 270 of Decula, Georgia, and offensive tackle Mitchell Smith, 6'6", 310 of Picayune, Mississippi. That was on Thursday. Ole Miss coach Lane Kiffin was also in for a visit. Luke also visited with offensive tackle Malcolm Gaston, 6'5", 330 of North Augusta today, and he visited with defensive end Curtis Gentry, 6'3", 250 of Madison, Mississippi. They are working Matt Luke to death. Give that guy a raise. Of course, how hard is it if you're flying around in a nice jet? South Carolina target running back Carson Baker was visited by Georgia Tech's running backs coach on Thursday. Michigan coaches yesterday, visited with USC quarterback target Brady Smigel in California. Virginia Tech Thursday met with Clemson and South Carolina target offensive tackle Carter Scruggs of Leesburg, Virginia. Notre Dame head coach Marcus Freeman on Thursday visited with South Carolina target defensive end Rodney Dunham, and he also picked up an offer from NC State. Penn State had an in-home visit Thursday night with Clemson target offensive tackle Chance Barclay. Georgia coach Kirby Smart was in to see USC target wide receiver Ryan Mosley on Thursday. And South Carolina tight end target DJ Howerton was offered by West Virginia. Clemson target defensive end Dre Quinn was offered by Michigan and Miami. Clemson target offensive tackle Zayden Crimpen of Prosper, Texas, picked up his 50th offer from Colorado. Their offensive line coach was in for a visit. Today, cornerback Samari Matthews of Cornelius, North Carolina, named a Final Four of USC, Clemson, Oregon, and Florida State. Dorman safety Kentavian Anderson was offered by Michigan today. And finally, South Carolina women's target, 2026 6'1", Jordan Jackson, will take an official visit to Maryland this weekend. USC is in her final 6, along with Maryland, TCU, Alabama, Miami, and Ohio State. There you go. That is our recruiting report tonight on Sports Talk. It is brought to you by Seawells. We recommend that you check out our recruiting stories on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and our recruiting posts on X, our new X location. Make sure you give us a follow if you haven't already. We certainly appreciate it. Our new X is SC Sports Now, at SC Sports Now. And, of course, we post our information on our Facebook page as well. So check it out there, too. All right, back to the phones before we hit the top of the hour. And our phone number, 888-898-2525. While we get that lined up, we have a text message in from a caller down in Georgetown. We were talking about the CW channel and how difficult it was to find the Clemson game against Pittsburgh. And this writer says CW is on Channel 3 in Georgetown, and I have DirecTV, but the picture never seems clear to me. All right. I just can't find the picture anywhere. Let's go to Ron in Greenville before we hit the top of the hour. Hello, Ron. Welcome in.
Hey, Bill. How y'all doing?
Good, man. Hope you have a good weekend coming up.
Yeah, I hope so, too. Well, I got a thing for you.
All right.
Okay. Talking about referees a while ago. Let's do this. Now, who's the guy that does South Carolina basketball?
You mean on radio?
Yeah.
Derek Scott.
Yeah, Derek Scott. I want everybody tomorrow they can watch the game on the SEC channel. But listen to Derek Scott and Casey Manning. They complain on every call. Right? Hey, this is my thinking. Why not give up calling play-by-play and start refereeing so they don't miss a call?
That's great, Ron. That's great. You know, that's the case with a lot of these college basketball play-by-play guys, though. All right, we'll be right back.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. President Trump is following through with an earlier pledge to impose some tariffs. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
The president will be implementing tomorrow a 25% tariffs on Mexico, 25% tariffs on Canada, and a 10% tariff on China for the illegal fentanyl that they have sourced and allowed to distribute into our country, which has killed tens of millions of Americans. These are promises made and promises kept by the president.
Trump had been threatening the tariffs to ensure greater cooperation on stopping illegal immigration and the smuggling of chemicals used for fentanyl. The tariffs could increase how much U.S. consumers and businesses pay for goods coming from Canada, Mexico, and China, including electronics, toys, produce, lumber, and cars. A New York doctor has been indicted for prescribing an abortifacient for a Louisiana patient.
A New York doctor has been indicted by a Louisiana grand jury for allegedly prescribing an abortion pill online. The Deep South state has one of the strictest near-total abortion bans in the country. Dr. Margaret Carpenter and her company Nightingale Medical were charged with a felony charge of criminal abortion by means of abortion-inducing drugs. The case appears to be the first instance of criminal charges against a doctor accused of sending abortion pills to another state since the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in 2022. I'm Lisa Dwight.
Investigators announced that the black box from the Army Black Hawk helicopter that collided with a commercial jetliner has been recovered. They're reviewing the flight data recorder along with two from the plane as they probe the cause of the devastating crash. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 337 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
A new president is sworn in. America's greatness is being restored. And there's breaking news every minute. Now, tens of millions of Americans are turning off Fox and CNN and tuning in to Newsmax for the breaking information they really need to know. Reuters Institute says Newsmax is one of the top news brands in America. Find it yourself on all major cable systems and on your TV or smartphone store. Just download the Newsmax app for free and start watching. You'll get great shows with Rob Schmidt, Greta Van Susteren, Rob Finnerty, and Carl Higbie, and more. Find out why millions of Americans have made the switch. Even President Trump says Newsmax is terrific, and he's watching. So make the switch to Newsmax. Check us out on cable and satellite TV or download the Newsmax app today. Watch us anytime, anywhere. Remember, Newsmax is real news for real people.
It's the 5th anniversary of Brexit.
People and businesses are still wrestling with the economic, social and cultural aftershocks of a decision that divided the country. For businesses, Brexit has meant new red tape, costs and delays to trading with the 27 EU countries. Brexit supporters argue that short-term pain will be offset by Britain's new freedom to strike trade deals around the world, though so far they have had only a minor impact. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has promised to reset relations with the EU after years of acrimony. Karen Shamas, London.
An information technology expert for decades assumed the identity of another man so convincingly that his victim was forcibly medicated and jailed for identity theft himself. The identity thief, Matthew David Kierans, was sentenced Friday to 12 years in prison. News and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. The showers will clear out tonight. We will cool down to 47 as our low. Tomorrow, quite nice, mostly sunshine-filled skies. The high is 68. For Sunday, a blend of sunshine and clouds. A high reaches up to 64. We are mild and dry next week. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
The Point. The Point.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, we're back on Sports Talk on this Friday night. Great to have you with us. Phil Kornblut, Josh Cohen here at our Columbia studios. Chris Bergen is off tonight as he travels with Coastal Carolina. Coastal took it on the chin, the chin last night, losing at James Madison. Now they're on their way to play Marshall. So been a tough road for the Coastal Carolina team in their first year under their new coach. But, you got to give them a little bit of time, and they'll get things turned around and head in the right direction. I would think they're very high on this coach, so give them a little bit of a break there. Basketball tomorrow around the ACC. Of course, we talked about Clemson. You got Pitt at Wake Forest. That'll be, oh, my gosh, that'll be at noon. Oh, what? Clemson at NC State. You know what channel it's on?
CW?
The CW.
Yep. You can't find it.
I mean, what am I going to do?
Yeah, we don't have it on DirecTV in Columbia. When I used to have it, we didn't have it there.
I even pulled up the CW app. I even downloaded that piece of trash and couldn't find it. I don't know what to do. Florida State at Boston College, Louisville at Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech at Virginia, Stanford at SMU, then, of course, North Carolina and Duke. Does it still have – I love this game. I love this North Carolina-Duke game. I always have. And, I mean, it's the rivalry, but it ain't what it used to be when you had players who were been facing each other for 4 years, 5 years. Now you got just a bunch of one-and-dones coming through, taking their money and going on to the league. And plus, North Carolina's struggling. They're probably going to get drilled at Duke tomorrow. Notre Dame at Miami and Syracuse at California. Yeah, that's exciting. Syracuse at California. I'm telling you, the ACC basketball is dead. And I'll get Jeff's opinion on that as well because he's covered ACC basketball for a covered it for a long, long time, so he knows all about it. Around the SEC tomorrow, besides South Carolina hosting Texas A&M, you got – now see here, look at the difference in the matchups. You got number 5 Florida, number 8 Tennessee, number 20 Missouri, number 14 Mississippi State, number 1 Auburn, number 23 Ole Miss, number 24 Vanderbilt and Oklahoma, Georgia at number 4 Alabama, Texas at LSU, number 13 A&M at South Carolina, and Alabama at number 12 Kentucky. I mean, there's hardly a game there that you want to miss.
Arkansas versus Kentucky.
Oh, I'm sorry, Arkansas at Kentucky. Yeah, Georgia's at Alabama. Arkansas is at Kentucky. So that might be a dog game. I mean, Kentucky. But wait a minute. That's the return of what's-his-face to Kentucky. So that'll add a bunch of intrigue to that, to have their former coach coming back. So, but the game will probably be – that could be a beatdown. But the rest of those games could be very, very competitive. So, all right, that's a look around the SEC and the ACC. And now we got NASCAR in all her glory coming back this weekend.
Love it when it's 4 wide, love it when it's fast, love it when the leader's caught, the pack is moving past, love it when they're making lots and lots of noise, can't wait to hear these W's say. Boogity, 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 let's go racing, boys! Let's go racing, boys!
All right. Last time we played that little tune, it was November, early November. We wrapped it up in Phoenix, and now we go racing again. Kind of an all-star deal. Not a points race, but it is the traditional kickoff race, the Clash. Now it's called the Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray Stadium in Winston-Salem. Let's welcome in Jeff Owens in the fast lane for another season. Hello, friend. How are you?
I'm great, Phil. Glad to be back. Glad to be kicking off another season.
Well, and we're so happy to have you with us, and you'll be with us most of the season. I know you got some family things coming up later on this year. We congratulate you on all the good things coming. Do you want to share with us all the good things you have coming up?
Well, got a daughter starting college, probably at South Carolina. It's down to the 2 Carolinas. So
hang on a second. Hang on. Does she have a boyfriend?
No.
All right.
Fortunately, no.
Well, my man Josh is going to be a freshman at South Carolina in the fall, so maybe we can make a little pair here, huh?
Well, I doubt that, but we'll see.
Okay.
So we got that going on, and got the first grandchild on the way in August. So looking forward to that too.
Well, congratulations, Grandpa.
Yeah. I've been called that for years now, so I guess I'm going to be legit finally.
Yeah, that's the fun time, man. You're about to enter the fun land.
That's what they say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to it. So it's going to be a fun year.
Absolutely. Okay. Bowman Gray Stadium. How many times have you been there? I mean, what's that place like?
Yeah, this is a historic place, Phil. I mean, it's this is the oldest NASCAR weekly short track in America. Started back in 1949. It's actually inside of a football stadium. They built that track in the 1930s to host college football, and they actually still host college football. Winston-Salem State plays there. But it has been a weekly short track for as long as I can remember, 80-something years now, I guess. Old historic track, kind of like Martinsville, quarter-mile track, a bull ring as they call it, traditional old short track, and they're bringing the old Clash back to that. And I am really happy about this. You know, we had this race, which kind of opens the season. It's an exhibition race. We had it in California the last 3 years inside L.A. Coliseum, which was kind of cool, but I don't think it's something the fans really got into all that much. This is a big deal. This is like bringing Wilkesboro back. Same type of deal. You're going back to your roots, old school track, old school racing, and I think it's going to be a fantastic event. A couple of neat tidbits about this track. It hosted 29 Cup races from 1958 to 1971. And we saw some of the legends in NASCAR win races there. Richard Petty won races there. Junior Johnson won races there. This is where the Wood brothers got their start, with Glenn Wood winning races at this track. Richard Petty in 1969 won his 100th Cup race at this track. Interesting enough, 2 years later, the last race was held there, and believe it or not, there was no winner. Bobby Allison actually technically won the race, but he was not driving a Cup car. He was driving what they called a pony car, so he was not awarded the victory. Richard Petty finished second in a non-Cup car. He was not awarded the victory. So the last race there technically had no winner. There's no winner in the only track in NASCAR history, the only race where there was officially no winner. So a couple of fun tidbits about that. But a historic race. I think the fans are pumped about this. I think it's going to be a great night on Sunday night.
What kind of, now you said quarter mile, so but it's not a bowl like Bristol. What kind of speeds do they generate around that thing?
It'll be relatively slow. It's a flat track, quarter mile, kind of sweeping turns a little bit instead of the paperclip at Martinsville. But this will be the shortest track they run on. I mean, Martinsville's a half mile, Bristol's a half mile, Wilkesboro's a little more than that. This will be by far, this will be half the size of Bristol, Martinsville, if you can imagine that. So there'll be it'll be relatively slow, but they'll be all over the top of each other, and they'll be bumping and banging and door to door, and it should be exciting. And there's some guys in the field that have run at this race in the lower series coming up, working their way up the ladder, who have raced there before. Chase Elliott raced there, William Byron, Alex Bowman, a few others. So some of the guys will have had some experience on this track, but I mean, this is a throwback to the old days, and we've seen here recently that the fans really enjoy that sort of thing. They'll have old school Saturday night heat races tomorrow night. There'll be 4 of them, and that'll be fantastic, I believe. And then the big race, a 200-lapper on Sunday night. I believe this is a great way to kick off the season. I always loved the Clash at Daytona, but I hated them going out to California. I didn't like that at all. At least this gets back to true grassroots NASCAR racing.
Well, I believe Mo NASCAR in the Carolinas, Mo good. I think that's got to get back to your roots here. They got away from it.
And we got Rockingham coming back this year too. That's another big development on the schedule. On Easter weekend, we won't have a Cup race, but on Saturday before Easter, we go back to Rockingham for the first time in a long, long time for an Xfinity and truck doubleheader. That's something I think the fans are going to be stoked about as well.
Is that a precursor of getting a Cup race back to Rockingham?
Well, I don't know, Phil. They just, reopened that track, so I don't know. I kind of doubt it, because one of the reasons they closed down Rockingham, was its proximity to Darlington. It's only 60 miles down the road from Darlington, and in that region of the state and the country, I don't know, can you support 2 Cup tracks and 2 Cup races that close together? That was an issue back in the day, but we'll see. We'll see what the future holds, but it's really good to see them bring another old historic NASCAR track back, one that the fans loved. And I love that NASCAR is going back to their roots a little bit and giving the old school fans what they really like.
How much do you credit Dale Jr. for making this happen?
I think he's got a lot to do with all of it. Dale Jr. is a champion for the history of the sport, and I'll put Kyle Petty in there too.
Mm-hmm.
Both similar backgrounds. Their both fathers were legends in this sport. There's no two drivers in NASCAR today that know more about the history of the sport than those two guys. And they do everything they can to promote that. Dale Jr. through his podcast and going to Wilkesboro and helping them redo that track. Kyle Petty, if you haven't seen it, has had some wonderful social media posts this week where he's gone to Bowman Gray and he sits in the grandstands and he tells you about the history of that track. Tremendous stuff. So I give both of those guys a lot of credit, and I give NASCAR credit for listening to them because I think this is a wonderful thing that they're doing.
Okay. To you, among the teams, the drivers, the crew chiefs, what were one or two of the most significant off-season moves?
Well, Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski both have new crew chiefs. I think that'll be something to watch early in the season. A lot of other guys, too. I think Bubba Wallace, Austin Dillon, a lot of crew chief changes, but those are the two top guys. A lot of driver changes. Some new teams. Roush has got a third team. Denny Hamlin's got a third team. Big driver changes. Chase Briscoe replaces Martin Truex Jr. in the number 19 car at Joe Gibbs Racing. I look for him to do really well there. You got a few other guys who've moved around a little bit. That's the big one. But a lot of changes, so there'll be a lot to keep track of and watch during this race on Sunday night and as we go on down to Daytona in the next couple of weeks.
You got an early favorite in your head to win the championship. Now, I know that's a long way down the road, but who would you pin the favorite's tail on?
Yeah, boy, that's tough because it's such a crapshoot. One of the things that went on in the offseason was they did discuss changing the playoff format, decided not to do that. Boy, from what we've seen the last 2 years, and what I heard Kyle Larson say this the other day, it doesn't matter how many races you win anymore. It comes down to that last race. And the team that's had that figured out has been Penske with Logano and Blaney the last 2 years. I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney to get a second championship this year.
How about that? All right, we'll hold you to it.
I may change my mind in 2 weeks, so we'll see.
By the way, I mentioned you covered a lot of sports. I'm sure you covered a lot of ACC basketball. One of my themes of the week has been the death of ACC basketball as it was once a glorious basketball league. Do you pay much attention anymore to it? Do you think is that a right assessment of that league?
Absolutely. Phil, I've watched ACC basketball since I was probably 6 years old, and I did get an opportunity to cover it for a few years there. This is the worst I have ever seen. I never remember a time in my lifetime when there was only one ACC team ranked in the top 25. That is awful. I've never seen that. North Carolina is at an all-time low. I just don't understand it. And meanwhile, the SEC is on top. I mean, you got 10 teams in the top 25. They're dominating, but the ACC is definitely hit rock bottom. No question about that.
Yeah, I don't know if or when they can turn it around in today's world. I mean, that used to be the attraction for basketball players. It's not any longer.
Yeah, right. And I agree with what you said earlier. A lot of it has got to do with the recruiting and the way the game's played today, the one-and-done stuff. You know, they come, they play 1 year and they're on. You can't build a program that way. And it's also tough to recruit that way. The only one doing it right now is Duke. Some of the other SEC teams are, but the ACC is suffering because of that. And no telling how long that'll last. But I think college basketball as a whole, SEC is doing great, no question about it. And I love seeing that. But I think men's basketball as a whole is suffering a little bit because of transfer portal, NIL, guys one and done, that kind of stuff. I think it's catching up to them a little bit.
I think you're right, sir. As always, great having you with us. We've got you down. We know who you like to win the championship, Mr. Blaney. We'll see if that holds up throughout the season. Have a great weekend watching the races. We'll get with you next week.
Sounds great, Phil. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Our man Jeff Owens in the fast lane. A little more NASCAR to come because, as I mentioned, I was in Darlington today. We had a chance to join in on a little press gaggle with Christian X, driver of the number 16 Chevrolet for Koenig Racing. And we're going to hear from him as he took some laps around Darlington in his Xfinity car. And he will talk about that experience and more coming up.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I'm not a case manager. I'm a lawyer for over 35 years. I don't charge 40% for your injury in your wreck case or any on-the-job injury. Call 803-765-2968 and ask for Jim Corbett or email me, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com, for the experience of a lawyer handling your injury case. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968. Jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Put 35 years of experience to work on your injury case.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot, and the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
If you're looking to grow your business, Sports Talk is here to help. I'm Matt Smith, and in addition to reporting for Sports Talk, I'm in charge of helping business owners make the most of our statewide platforms. Whether you're a small business owner or part of a large company operating here in the Palmetto State, we'd love to hear about your business. Sports Talk has a track record of delivering results to our partners, and it's probably more affordable than you think. Our network of affiliates shows us the flexibility to work with budgets of all sizes, and our statewide coverage means that whether you're in Greenville, Orangeburg, Chesterfield, Charleston, Woodruff, or somewhere in between, your future customers are listening to Sports Talk. Every business has a story, and we want to hear yours. It's our mission to serve this state, and that means finding success together. Please email us at sportstalkmedianetwork@gmail.com or contact us through our website, sportstalksc.com.
All right, tell you a little something about Christian X, driver of the number 16 Chevrolet for Koenig Racing on the Xfinity Series. He finished third in the title chase last year in the Truck Series, first time in the playoffs. He ran trucks full-time for 4 years, 2020 and then 2022 through 2024. Has 9 career truck wins. And at Darlington, ran in 4 truck races, and he won back in 2023. So he knows how to get around, and he talks about how it felt driving a car compared to a truck around Darlington. So here's Christian X as he visited with a small group of media on hand today at Darlington.
Man, I mean, every time I come to Darlington, I learn a lot. It's such a tough racetrack. And now with the Xfinity car, honestly, it's more fun than what I've had in the truck. So just a super cool racetrack with all the history and everything here, and always a blast coming into Darlington, South Carolina. Man, it's never easy here, honestly. You know, each race that we have kind of has different circumstances, whether it's rubber, weather, the race car, how the race unfolds. It feels like every time you come here, you have maybe a little bit different race in some ways. So, but yeah, no, it's a fun racetrack for sure. Well, hopefully it being cooler today gives us a little bit more information on that. I think the speeds are up a little bit compared to normal just being cold. So it's a lot of fun on my aspect. It feels like I'm honestly driving a truck out there. I'm driving it so hard. So yeah, it's a lot of fun for sure. Yeah, I mean, just winning that experience of winning races, especially here at Darlington, gives you kind of confidence to go anywhere. So, yeah, no, it's not as different as I anticipated it to be. There's definitely some differences, and there's some nuances that I'll have to learn and develop. But for the most part, it's a race car with 4 tires and a steering wheel. It's one of my 2 favorites for sure. This is the most fun track I feel like to go make laps at. So I always love coming here for sure.
Kristen, you want it?
I mean, I think if you had to put it in one word, just historic. It's not the oldest track, Martinsville is, but when you come here, it just kind of has like a unique vibe of NASCAR history. So, there's no place like it for sure when you walk through that gate and see the older buildings, just the racetrack shape, the people that have raced here. It's one of a kind for sure. Yeah, today with it being so cold, I'm used to coming here in May or so. There's not that much difference, honestly. I mean, there is to a certain extent. I mean, the trucks have more grip, but I would say on a run, it's not as different as I maybe anticipated it to be. But at the same time, the weather has a lot to do with that as well. It's been great so far. It's a real team environment. Everybody works together to try to get better, which I really appreciate. And that Chris's leadership and everybody there has been super welcoming to me, just trying to get me up to speed. And it's been great so far for sure. Yeah, it's crucial just for me to make laps, let alone the aspect of trying to improve the race cars and the team and everything. So, but yeah, no, these laps are super good because I don't think really anybody's had them over the last 3-4 years. Thankfully, they changed some rules to allow us to race or to allow us to test. But these laps are going to be huge for that Vegas kind of race. That's going to be my first real time driving them.
Okay, Christian X, who is out of New York State. He's from Middletown, New York, 24 years old. They think he has a bright future. He could be a guy that can work his way up to the Cup Series eventually. And so looking forward to seeing him run at Darlington. All right, coming up after the break, we'll get to the golf scene in South Carolina. George Bryan III going to join us, we hope. As I mentioned earlier, he's at Dutch Fork High School tonight, basketball game, but he's there too because his sons, George the Fourth and Wesley, they're being inducted into the Dutch Fork High School Sports Hall of Fame. So congratulations to all the Bryans. So we'll see if George is going to be with us. We know Scott Parker, one of the folks that works with George out at his golf training center, is going to be with us. And our new best friend, Sullivan Hooper, who is doing some internship work with us, but he's also a collegiate golfer playing at Newberry. He'll join us on Friday nights to talk a bit about the collegiate golf scene in South Carolina. All that is coming up after the break.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. The showers will clear out tonight. We will cool down to 47 as our low. Tomorrow, quite nice, mostly sunshine-filled skies. The high is 68. For Sunday, a blend of sunshine and clouds. A high reaches up to 64. We are mild and dry next week. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
The Point.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting President Trump says he'll put in place 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico and 10% tariffs on goods from China effective Saturday. That raises the specter of swift price increases for U.S. consumers, although Trump suggests he'll try to blunt the impact on oil imports. Trump has been threatening the tariffs to ensure greater cooperation on stopping illegal immigration and the smuggling of chemicals used for fentanyl. Investigators announced that the black box from the Army Black Hawk helicopter that collided with a commercial jetliner has been recovered. They're reviewing the flight data recorder along with two from the plane as they probe the cause of the devastating crash that killed 67 people. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 337 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Step into a brighter future with Broker Solar. Transform your home, your business, your nonprofit into a beacon of efficiency and savings. With Broker Solar, you're not just installing solar panels, you're setting the foundation for long-term financial savings, taking control over these power companies that, well, let's face it, they have a monopoly. You can't choose your power company, but you can control the cost of your power. Ken and his expert team will help you to navigate through any complexities of solar energy. They'll tailor a system that's perfectly fit for your needs and for your budget. Get a rooftop setup or somewhere else on your land, or just start with solar to integrate powerful battery backups so when the storms do come, the power goes out in your block, it'll stay on at your home. It's not for everyone, but if you're even curious, don't you owe it to yourself to reach out and call Broker Solar for a free consultation? Listen, if you trust the point, if you trust me, I'm telling you, you can trust Broker Solar. Explore your solar potential at brokersolar.com. Start generating power on your terms. Broker Solar, empowering you while shining above the rest.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory, American made for life.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Lots of plumbing companies out there. Few are truly local. Time to discover the difference with Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. See, when I faced plumbing woes at the Cohen home, Josh and his dedicated team, well, they were my go-to solution. They make a commitment to exceptional service. They arrived on time, clearly detailed all the costs and procedures, and efficiently handled all my repairs without any surprises. These days, how often do we complain about a lack of customer service out there? With Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning, these folks are professional. They're courteous. They're skilled at what they do, and they've earned my trust, and they've earned my recommendation to you. From urgent repairs to the tankless water heater you've always wanted, they've got you covered. Visit franklinplumbing.sc.com or call 799-2222. That's 799-2222. Hey, you tell them Kev sent you from The Point. I'm pretty sure you'll want to thank me later.
4. Straight down the middle. It went straight down the middle. Then it started to hook just a wee, wee bit. And that's when my caddy lost sight of it. That little white pellet has never been found to this day. But it went straight down the middle like this.
All right, things are getting exciting on the PGA Tour, and the college season is about to get underway. South Carolina's women, they'll play their first tournament beginning Sunday or Monday, first part of next week. So college season getting underway. It's time for Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps, brought to you by Tsunami Bar Sports over in West Columbia. George Bryan III not with us yet. He's late for his tee time. We're going to have to penalize him a couple of shots, but he has a good reason. He's watching his two boys be inducted into the Dutch Fork High School Athletic Hall of Fame. So congratulations to Wesley and George the fourth. But we do have, it takes two to replace George. Let's welcome in Scott Parker, frequent visitor to Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps. Scott, welcome in. How are you?
Yeah, great. Doing great. How are you guys doing tonight?
We're doing great. And a newbie, a rookie, young man who's doing a little internship work with us here as he finishes up his degree at Newberry College, but he's also a member of the Newberry golf team. So I said, you know what, at the very least, you can talk golf with us and share some thoughts on college golf around the state. Let's welcome, we call him Sully, Sullivan Hooper, here to Sports Talk and Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps. Hello, Sully.
Hey, Phil. Thank you for letting me be here. I'm excited to talk some golf, and let's get this thing started.
Let's get it rolling. Okay. Well, let me begin at the beginning, and that is talking about round 2 out in California, out in Pebble Beach at the AT&T tournament out there. And Sepp Straka, the Georgia grad, is the leader here after round number 2. A pair of 65s for him puts him at 14 under. Russell Henley, Cam Davis, they're at 11 under. Tony Finau, he's at 10 under. And here is Andrew Novak, the Wofford grad, also at 10 under. He had a 65 today. Now, they're playing different courses, of course, until they all get to play Pebble. And then Tom Kim, Justin Rose, Austin Eckroat, they're all tied for 4th. They are at 10 under par as well. And some other notables for us, Lucas Glover playing well, 66-69. He's tied for 9th at 9 under. Colin Morikawa is at 8 under. Rory McIlroy is 70. He's at 8 under. Justin Thomas is at 8 under. Here's Scotty Scheffler coming off that off-season hand injury, cut to his hand, 67-70. He's 7 under. Jordan Spieth is 2 under. And that's it for those that really catch my eye. So, Scott, things are starting to heat up on the PGA Tour. We got AT&T this weekend, and then we go to Phoenix next week for the always wild and crazy event out there. I don't know about for you. For me, I really get pumped up here for the golf season at this stage.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, everybody's jockeying for position to get into that first major of the year coming up soon, and a win gets you there. So everybody's trying to punch that last-minute ticket for sure.
You ever been out to Pebble Beach? You ever have a chance to get out there and knock it around?
I have not. No, have you ever had a chance to go out there?
No. Just seen it on television. I would love to, though. We checked the green fees the other day were like $600, so I'd have to.
Compared to some of the places they play, that's not too bad, actually, Phil.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe we can throw our pennies together one day and take a trip out there and get George to find a way to get us out there.
I think he could probably figure that out.
Yeah. What sort of things have you and George been doing over the last week out there at the Academy and Tsunami Bar Sports and working with folks?
Well, I think probably one of the first things to talk about is the Winter Tour. I don't know if he's going to be joining us in the next few minutes. I believe it's the 31st. I can confirm with him when he gets on here. The 31st year of the Winter Tour. We've got about, I think, 87 participants this year, which is great. And for those that aren't familiar, it's we go out and play 9 holes on a Sunday afternoon every week at a different golf course. We've got 6 divisions this year, different age brackets. And I think it's important to sort of thank all of our host golf courses. It's some really great courses in the area. We got Camden Country Club, Charwood Golf Course, Columbia Country Club, Country Lexington, Lenrick Golf Course, Mid Carolina, Newberry, The Spur, Oak Hills, Ponderosa, Timberlake, Woodlands, Salina, and Wildwood. All have hosted events so far this year, and we've got, I think, 3 more weeks to go. So the kids are having a great time getting out there. As always, one of the things we like to preach with our kids at this event especially is play fast and have fun, and that's exactly what they do. They get out there right before the sun goes down, and they play fast and get in, chase the sun away.
Now, what age group is this?
So we've got them all the way from 3 all the way to 18. It covers through the 6 divisions. In fact, I go out there with the 3 to 8-year-old group every week, and we have a blast. We play like a modified captain's choice format where we go out and we all line up and hit together and chase them down the fairway and do it again. It's a great time, and you'd be amazed the average age of that group is probably 6 or so, and they get out and run around 9 holes in about an hour and 45 minutes.
Wow. Have you found a 3-year-old whose game you really like?
Well, not to toot my own horn, but my son is the only 3-year-old in that group, and he's got quite a swing for sure.
All right, I want him. I want him one-on-one. We're gonna play we're gonna play $10 Nassau, and you think can I handle? You think I could take him? Can I take a 3-year-old?
Well, which tees you going to play from, Phil?
I mean, I play from. I still play from the whites. I don't do the seniors. So where's he? Does he play from the tips?
Oh yeah, all the way back, about 30 yards from the green.
He does have a sweet swing, huh?
Oh yeah, and I've got 2 of my own kids in there right now, and they both love it.
Yeah,
it's just fun watching them out there running around.
That's great, Sully. What age did you start playing golf?
You know, I started playing the Tri-County Tour, like Hootie and Blowfish started it. Probably when I was about 12, 13. We would play Ponderosa, Lexington, I think Golden Hills, Mid-Carolina, all those courses, some of the way he was talking about there. So, pretty long time ago.
What got you interested and moved you towards golf versus some other sports?
Well, you know, I grew up playing football and basketball, and then my dad tried to steer me away from that, play a little bit of a safer sport. But my dad was a big golfer. He played at College of Charleston for a little bit, and you know, he was my hero. So, you know, kind of wanted to do everything he did, and it was something that we could do together with my brother as well. And you know, we've had some great times on the golf course, a lot of good memories.
When did you start to sense that, you know what, I'm pretty good at this game, and not only can I have fun just playing it, but I've got a chance maybe to play to a certain level?
I'd say probably when I started beating all my buddies at Lexington. Hope they're not listening to this, but I was probably about 13, 14 and started taking their money, and I figured, you know, I should keep this going.
Now, the idea is to get your buddies to listen, okay? So in the future, you know, let them know that you're on, and they have to listen to you no matter what you have to say.
I will. I'll let them know, and I'll be a little bit nicer if they're listening.
How's that Newberry golf team looking?
Oh, man, we've got a good team. I think I was telling you the other day, Phil, we have some kids. Josh Grieg out of England, he fired a 63 the other day.
Ooh.
We got a kid who shot 65. His name's Carlos. Our team captain, Tom Hall, he's our best player probably statistically. We got a tournament coming up on Monday in Greenville. I think we've got a good chance to make a run this year and hopefully win the conference.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. All right, let's welcome to the tee box. We're going to have to penalize him a couple of strokes, even for a good reason. When you're late to the tee, you have to suffer the consequences. Let's welcome in our leader, GB3. Welcome in, sir.
What a privilege. And, hey, glad to have Mr. Sullivan on. And, Scott, good evening. Sorry
good evening.
I was a little late. I will accept that penalty, and I'm feeling like I can torch it. I can get it back.
Well, listen, I've already got a match set up with Scott's 3-year-old, so I'm going to take him to the woodshed. I'm taking him to the woodshed.
Hey, he's got a couple of spark plugs that are just full of energy and fun, and hey, it'll be fun. We'll be talking about them for a lot of years. So, part of the reason I'm going to be limited here in this little, it'll be a little bit of a snack tonight, but I'm at the Dutch Fork. They're playing Chapin, and George and Wesley are being inducted into the Dutch Fork Hall of Fame. And so you're going to hear the whistles and the basketball in the background. And so it's really pretty cool that I'm looking at some names here that I'm sure you all know about it. Let's see. I'm sure you've heard of Dustin Johnson. I'm sure you've heard of, let's see, Stephen Cotton, Elena Coates, Nicole Neely, Hey, so those are just a few of the names, and many more. Dustin Johnson was inducted in 2021. So and now my ability to hear you, and this is Wesley, Brian. Say hello. Hey, this is so. As you might imagine, with a Hall of Fame ceremony, it can get a little wild and crazy. So,
got a bunch of family there, I would imagine.
You know, and it is. I'm seeing a lot of old Dickie DeMacy. Does that name ring a bell?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's Irmo grad, and I just ran into him. Hey, Rick Henry's here, and all these folks are right here, shoulder to shoulder, and we're watching some basketball. Which this will be the first time I've been in a basketball stadium. 15 years at least.
Yeah.
High school.
Yeah.
So, hey, I wanted to, as I walked in the door, I was watching. We got to recognize some locals. We got a lot of our South Carolina players playing down in the Bahamas or, at the Corn Ferry event. Matt Atkins, he birdies the last hole to make the cut. Now, it turns out the cut moved just a bit odd direction, but we got some others. I did notice that you pull that leaderboard up and you'll see more, but we have
I'm going to do that.
Some surprises that are actually playing that Corn Ferry event, but I'm kind of cutting out. Sorry about that.
It looks like it was suspended. Must have had some weather or something down there, but let me pull up.
Ben Martin was playing. Ben Martin was one under, I think, if not a couple under. As I mentioned, Matt Atkins. We had, a whole list of folks that I was quite surprised seeing compete. However, with these limited fields at Pebble, it looked like a pretty good tournament there, but I don't think but 70, 80 players get in those events. And it's pretty cool. There are a lot more changes to come, and I'm sure.
I'm looking. I see Ben Martin. He finished at even, so the cut came in at +1. So he's made the cut. Doc Redmond's made the cut at even par as well. Those are two names that I recognize. And
William McGirt's on here.
Who else you see?
Tommy Gainey's -1.
Yep.
Yeah. So is William McGirt.
William McGirt made it. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Tommy Gainey -1.
Matt Neesmith.
Matt Neesmith. There you go.
Yeah, Matt's at he's at -3, so he's safely in.
Here's a name that I can't believe that he. I guess you can.
We lose you?
Excuse me. I tell you what, man. I think I've just stepped out of cell. I thought I was going to a quiet place, but I don't think I have any service here.
Well, we hear you.
So what I'll do?
We can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say Matt Atkins he finished at +1, and Trace Crow, he finished at +8. So Neesmith and Gainey and McGirt and Martin and Redmond all make the cut.
Oh, that's good to see. I like lots of changes in the near future with what's going on at the highest level of golf, and it's really cool to talk about. And I picked up just a piece of it that talking about the Winter Tour. The event started in 1992 at Timberlake and Indian River. Indian River now is Solina Golf Club.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty cool. Yesterday at Solina Golf Club, I ran into Kip Balknight, who I'm sure you remember that superstar for the Gamecocks back a few years ago. Brandon Jeffcoat, there's a number of others that I saw. But 1992 was when the Winter Tour started, and we're in our 32nd season. And I heard Scott talking about the Scramble course at Tsunami Bar Sports hosting this our education program for tomorrow. And what we're going to do, if you take a look at what's going on with the PGA Tour and all the news pace of play is the topic. Well, the Winter Tour since 1992 is focused on that, and I'm going to probably have to duck out and watch this ceremony.
Oh, yeah.
But what I will say is the faster they play, the better they play, and the easier the game gets. It's more appealing to watch from the fan standpoint. And Scott, well, Mr. Sullivan, welcome. I appreciate you being on. And Phil, I'm going to go ahead.
Yeah, you duck out. We'll take it from here.
Y'all have a good evening.
We're going to
See you
play
live.
through. Thank you, George. We'll play through. Scott, you want to follow up on what he's talking about regarding pace of play and playing faster, playing better?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm sure if anybody keeps up with golf news lately, there's been several sort of gotcha interviews with some of the PGA Tour players talking about pace of play and what they think ought to be done about it, and it's been a conversation for years. But, the easiest way to solve the problem, and everybody's talking about this or that with penalties and everything else, but the easiest way to solve the problem is learn how to play fast from a young age. If you never get into the habit of taking 10 minutes to read a putt and doing all that, if you just learn how to go at it and hit your ball and chase it down the fairway and hit it again, and you get used to playing that way, and everybody sort of gets into the rhythm of it, then there's no reason that golf has to take 5 or 6 hours to play around. It's ridiculous. So, like I said, we've got when a group of 6-year-olds can run around the course and play 9 holes with little tiny legs in less than 2 hours, it can be done. It's possible. So it's a conversation that I think is needed on the national level at all age groups and every level. Is this game, when you grind it down to a halt, it stops being fun at some point. We just need to get on with it. Hit your ball, chase it down, hit it again. That's the name of the game. Absolutely.
Sully, how about from a collegiate standpoint, whether it be in your practice rounds or in tournament play there at Newberry, how much do they emphasize pace of play and playing quickly for you guys?
They emphasize it, but it's a really big problem in college golf. College golf is probably where you'll see some of the slowest golf, talking about sometimes 6-hour rounds. I'm not really sure what the PGA Tour should do. People have mentioned implementing a shot clock, but there's a lot of gray area in that. When you start it, and let's say you're on hole 12 at Augusta National and a big gust of wind picks up, are you going to penalize a guy for backing off? I mean, it's just, I don't really know what the right answer is, but it's a problem at the professional level, at the college level. And I agree with Scott. I mean, it at the high school and junior level, if we can get these guys into a habit of playing faster, I think it'd make a big difference for the future for sure.
When you're in the midst of a – go ahead, Scott.
Well, I was going to say, Sully, with your direct experience right now, live in the heat of the moment, where do you feel things get bogged down the most? If you're with a group of guys playing, where do things slow down the most, you think?
I would say, everyone, not everyone, but a lot of guys have their own routine, and the routine's not the problem. It's not, it's not figuring out your distance, figuring out the lie. I'd say it's little things like where you put your bag down even, right? Or if you finish out a hole, just go ahead and go to the next tee box, right? I mean, or just how long you take to get from your ball to the green. Like, just walk a little bit faster, think ahead. It's little things that you don't think about that can make all the difference. Yep, that's what I would say.
What about?
I would actually agree with that. So one of the things the first thing we talk about with pace of play with our young ones is walk fast. The faster you walk from your ball, from the tee to your ball and from the ball to the green, and the faster you can get there, the more the faster everything goes. And of course, I mean, anybody that's been around PGA Tour players, and I tell all my kids this, I said those guys are really good at playing golf, but they're even better at walking. Like those guys are walking machines. You watch those guys; they get after it. Like there's no slow walking out there on the PGA Tour. But they have different reasons why they take forever to play sometimes. I think I see it mostly on the greens with there's a lot of aim pointers out there, and not knocking it because it's a great system. But when you get 4 guys aim pointing in one group, you're in for a long round. So that those kind of things, I think, are some of the things that need to be addressed with a shot clock at least. I mean, obviously specific situations where you get into some, penalty areas and you get into, really windy conditions that are going to make things a little off to try and navigate that. But, if you start a shot clock when somebody puts their ball down on the ground and say, okay, it's time to putt, I think that would be a way that they could start it pretty easily and say, okay, on the greens we have a shot clock. Maybe in between we've got a little bit more leeway, but once you get on the green, it's line it up, hit your putt. If you make it, great. If you miss it, hit it again.
All right, well, here's the old man saying, get off my lawn. Aren't you messing with century-old tradition if you start doing that kind of stuff?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I would, people on Twitter would say, why would you want to have less golf on the TV, right? Everyone's speeding things up, so now you're going to take, however long you have of coverage to, knock it down an hour or two. That's not necessarily fun either, right? Everyone wants more golf.
I would agree, but I mean, who's going to complain about Jack Nicklaus standing over a putt for 35 seconds like he used to do?
Yeah. And Tiger Woods likes to take his time too, and I don't complain watching him be a little slow on the greens.
I would agree.
Yeah, well, I think there's a reasonable amount of time. I'm not saying it has to be like a 20-second time limit. I think because some of these guys, they might take 5 or 6 minutes to hit a putt. Sometimes, I mean, it gets kind of ridiculous sometimes.
But don't
get guys that line it up and back off and line it up and back off, and they go up there and they check their read and they go back and they pick their ball up and they put it back. I mean, it's some guys have a process that takes a minute or two, and then some guys abuse the system. And I think who it penalizes the most, Phil, is not it's the backup that it causes, and the guys that are 2 or 3 groups behind that now have to sit on a tee box and wait for 5 or 6 minutes before they can hit their tee ball because the whole course is backed up, and it just gets players out of their rhythm, and that's what really causes all the issues.
Yeah, guys, I want to mention college golf season begins on Sunday. For the women, South Carolina and Clemson women will be playing in a tournament in California, and the Clemson men will begin a tournament being hosted by the College of Charleston down at Kiowa. So that's a great place to begin the season. And Sully, when do you guys hit the links for real?
Yeah, so we'll head to Greenville on Sunday morning. We'll play in Greenville. And it's going to be our conference preview. Looking forward to that.
Where are y'all playing?
I'm not even sure, to be honest. I need to look that up. But it should be a good time, great golf course, and just really getting a feel for where we will be playing conference.
Expect so. Guys, we appreciate it. Thank you very much, Scott Parker. Great having you with us tonight.
Absolutely. Phil, have a great one.
You too.
Sully.
And Sully, thank you, Sully. Sullivan Hooper,
yes,
thank
sir.
you
Thank
for
you,
being
Phil.
with us, making your debut tonight on Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps. And we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Sully. All right, everybody, that'll do it. Thank you, Josh. Have a great weekend. You can follow our coverage of basketball on our website over the weekend, and we'll see you Monday night.